I had an opportunity to visit Australia and went to military, law enforcement, and civilian ranges. Here's what I learned. Most of the Australian gun laws started in the mid 1990s, where the Australian government spent $500 million in a buyback program to destroy over 630,000 firearms. Now, Australians are still allowed to own some firearms, but their ownership and the type of firearms they can have are extremely restricted. The first aspect of the Australian gun control scheme is that all Australian gun owners are required to have a permit. To qualify for one, the potential applicant must go to the police and demonstrate what they call a genuine reason to own a specific firearm. The most common way to satisfy this legal genuine reason requirement is to join a shooting club. In fact, shooting clubs proliferate around Australia, and they will maintain books of scores for every Australian gun owner that's a member there, because they need that as a record to continue to provide this genuine reason to the authorities. This will begin by taking an approved course at a gun club, by renting or borrowing a firearm because you're not allowed to own one yet. Upon completing the course and then participating in a sufficient number of events, the individual is then awarded a license with permission to purchase a firearm. Upon receiving this license, you still cannot purchase just any kind of firearm that you want. You have to be licensed for a specific category. Category A includes manually operated rimfire rifles and shotguns, air rifles, and paintball markers because they're controlled as well. Category B includes manually operated centerfire rifles and muzzleloading firearms made after January 1901. This is the base level. Additional categories have further restrictions. Category C includes semi-auto and pump shotguns that hold 5 rounds or less, and semi-automatic rimfire rifles that hold 10 rounds or less. You have additional restrictions that you have to meet in order to get this category on your permit. Category D includes all self-loading centerfire rifles and all pump shotguns and semi-automatic shotguns above a certain capacity. Citizens cannot own a functional Category D firearm at all. They're restricted to government agencies. You need a Category D permit to own a deactivated version of one of these firearms. Category H firearms include handguns. If you're authorized to own a handgun of any kind, the base level is air pistols and deactivated handguns. In order to be eligible to own a functioning centerfire handgun, you have to be a member of a club that hosts formal training and competitive events with that kind of handgun, compete in formal events for at least 6 months at this recognized club, and take a course, after which you're then authorized to own an actual functioning centerfire handgun. Even then, there's still restrictions. You can't have over a certain capacity. Most handguns end up being revolvers just because they're easier to get. They're not as restricted. After obtaining your permit and being allowed to purchase a specific category firearm in your category of permit, you still need to maintain this genuine reason by reporting your participation to the authorities. Most gun clubs, they're running these events, classes, competitions, etc. they'll usually maintain a scorebook or other record of participation so that upon inspection they can show that their members are showing up for some minimal amount of events. Even if you do nothing wrong, if you just are no longer participating in these events, you can have your permit removed and therefore you're no longer legally allowed to own the firearms that you already purchased. Firearm ownerships also has legally mandated storage requirements. Every gun owner in Australia must maintain a police authorized safe in which all their firearms must be stored unless they are transporting them to or from the range. You aren't able to carry them or have them about otherwise. It either has to be at a range, transportation to or from the range, or in your safe. As a gun owner, you are subject to unannounced inspections. You will have to, without a warrant, open your home to law enforcement if they request it so that they can inspect all the registered firearms, because it's all by serial number, to show that you have every one of the firearms in their registry still in your authorized safe. If you decide to sell a firearm, you have to go through a dealer. The would-be buyer has to have the same kind of permit. You have to demonstrate that they can own the firearm legally. You have to record the transaction, and then it's recorded as being owned by them instead. None of the Australian gun owners I talked to, whether civilian, military, or law enforcement, really had anything positive to say about this. They didn't think it really helped in terms of like preventing crime or anything of that nature. Australia has enjoyed a very low crime rate, but it was low before a lot of these draconian laws were passed. This is just the procedure that if they want to continue to be a gun owner, that they have been forced to undertake, whether it's effective or not.